What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news for you concerning Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has knocked out Dereck Chisora in the 11th round in a high action-packed fight. I just got through watching the fight myself, and it was something worth seeing. Now I see what the ruckus was about. Even though I seen the first fight, but sometimes the second fight, sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. But in this case, it was better because there was a defining winner. You know, um, to recap this fight, coming in, Dereck Chisora, I think he captured the earlier rounds just by ripping shots to the body, and I think he was a little bit too aggressive, but of course he was because he thought everyone was against him. He thought the referee was against him. He thought the scorecards was against him. So of course Chisora was coming in to prove a point, to make a point known, to take what he feels is his. But by doing that, by the second and third round, Dillian Whyte started to counterpunch. But since the body punches were coming so aggressively and so rapidly, a lot of times he was just throwing. And on the body punch guys, when you throw a body punch, both of those guys' trunks were a little high. Let's be real. But, it's easy for an referee to decipher something being low. And if you keep punching low, like Dereck Chisora was, and I don't even really think it was dangerously low. I think it was right on the border, the belt line, right on the borderline of those shots. But of course, if you're throwing them in rapid succession to take gas out of the tank, some of them they did like little low. They kind of they were low, a little bit. Anyway, you know, it was working. However, the first point was deducted from Chisora. I thought that, the point shouldn't have been deducted like that because they weren't intentional and they were borderline to me. And because that made Dillian Whyte use his game plan. He did use the jab more. He is learning that. I think that's what he was talking about in the training camp with all that, along with all that excruciating training that they were doing with Dillian Whyte. They were keeping him focused and poised, But it did put him on his back foot. But of course, that I think that the point deducted through Chisora's game plan off. And then, he just started throwing balls to the wall. Then he got another point deducted, I think, in the 8th round, from an elbow. So he got another point deducted. So, then, of course, I think his concentration broke even more. And then by that time, Dillian Whyte kept using the jab, throwing between Dereck Chisora's punches and landing. And by the 10th and 11th round, Dereck Chisora was out of gas anyway, so he started taking, shots. So when your your energy levels are limited, you're going to go for the gusto. Dereck Chisora was going for the gusto. He just started winding up punches, throwing punches. And of course, when he did that in the 11th round, Dillian Whyte did do a little crouch, and he crouched because, of course, Dereck Chisora was throwing one of those wild swings, caught him perfectly on the chin. Out goes Dereck Chisora, KO in the 11th round. So it was a high action packed fight. I would like to see a third one, honestly, but, since this fight we have a deciding winner, and I figured this would happen, you know what I mean? Like I compared Kovalev Ward to this fight. If you guys can remember when I did do my fight study on these two guys, I said it would be like this. However, the fight was a good fight. The aftermath was something worth mentioning, definitely. I don't know exactly what Dillian Whyte called Anthony Joshua, but I know as of yesterday, he called him a piece of shit. He might have called him a bitch or a dosa or whatever a term was. But yeah, that I know that that lured Anthony Joshua into the ring, and kind of like he was like ringside rather, and he was on top. He wasn't necessarily in the ring, but he was enough to get his point across. Of course, he was respectful in that particular interview. But I got to break down another interview that showed tell all when, Anthony Joshua, didn't really keep it together and then said what he had to say. However, back to Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, seemed frustrated because he's still not top of the totem pole. Okay. Um, and, he walked out of the ring from what the comments were and the decision from Anthony Joshua and told him he deserves a shot, but he's not first priority, which he's not. He's not first priority. And anybody that follows this channel knows I'm not for that rematch. I mean, not to say it wouldn't be a good fight, not to say Dillian Whyte's not hungry, not to say he hasn't won the last 8 fights. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there's bigger fish to fry than Dillian Whyte. Okay. Now, the question is, how long should Anthony Joshua wait on Deontay Wilder? That's a whole nother story, but still, there are fights that can be made. You got Jarrell Miller. You got that type of dude. He's fighting Dereck Chisora too. But again, guys, it's karma, okay? It's karma. No, it may not happen April 13th. All right, but he will be a mandatory for the WBO soon enough. So then he'll get his shot once again. But that's only because it's done in the right way. Okay? If Dillian Whyte should be mad at anybody, he should be mad at Deontay Wilder, not Anthony Joshua, because Dillian Whyte is one of the mandatories. He's like second mandatory behind Dominique Breazeale. Okay, so if he had any shot coming from the WBC, if he wanted to go that route, he should fight Dominique Breazeale in an eliminator and knock out Dominique Breazeale. You know what I mean? That's the only way that he's going to get himself in position for Deontay Wilder. Okay, and that's if Deontay Wilder's not trying to unify or fight Tyson Fury again or whatever he's got going. So, so I don't see why he was upset. I know, hey, you take one win at a time. You fought a rematch. Really, it was a reckoning for you, for Dillian Whyte. So he shouldn't really be pissed off about that. He's just, he just tied up loose end. He just settled the score. So yeah, the ball's in his court, but yeah, I mean, there's other bigger fish to fry. Just because it's supposed to be, or more than likely, you may be the opponent, don't mean you're definitely going to be the opponent for Anthony Joshua. Okay, you're not a mandatory. Okay, and you are mandatory, of course, to the WBC, not the WBO, not the WBA, or not the IBF, or not the IBO. None of those. Okay, so he shouldn't be mad at the end of the day. It is what it is. He has to do things in order. But again, he gets full credit for the win. Beautiful left hook. Same left hook that dropped Joseph Parker. Same left hook that rocked Anthony Joshua in their first fight. That left hook is vicious, and he has been capitalized on it. He's been strengthening it. He's been, it's been improved. He's been working on that left hook. It's making it more of the money shot for him. And he gets full props. As of Dereck Chisora, back to the drawing board. He's a veteran in the game. You know what I mean? Whatever. You know what I mean? That's up to him and his camp. But as far as Dillian Whyte, he has options. Fight Dominique Breazeale. Fight Luis Ortiz. Okay? If Deontay Wilder's about his word, fight Luis Ortiz. See if you can get him out of there. You know what I mean? Since you're calling him old man, let's do that. Let's make that happen. Don't just wait on Anthony Joshua either. Yeah, you deserve a shot, but there's other fights that can be made. You fought Joseph Parker, fight Luis Ortiz. People gave you full credit to fight Joseph Parker, including myself. I'll give you full credit to fighting Luis Ortiz as well. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this recap. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.